Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about our thoughts on the latest episode of The Right Stuff and also The Mandalorian. We'll also be sharing our thoughts on some of this week's news, including what movies have been the top of the list in terms of what people have been watching, the Star Wars Lego trailer. Also, we're talking about some potential new series for Disney Plus and a lot more. But before we go into any of that, just a quick bit of housekeeping first off. If you haven't already done so, make sure you do subscribe either on the YouTube channel or on our audio platforms such as Spotify, iTunes, and listen to our latest episodes. Come to you with a new episode every Saturday. We also have little bonus episodes every now and again. But also, you can find us on social media on Facebook and Twitter, and obviously as well on the website over at whatsondisneyplus.com. You can help support the channel from as little as $2 a month from either Patreon or YouTube memberships. So big thank you to our supporters of the Go tier and above, including Joshua, Sarah. Huge thank you to Sarah for this month. Also to Andrew, Darren, The Juice, Lauren, and What's on Netflix for all of your support at the gold level and above. And a big thank you as well to all of our silver members as well. Moving on from there, let's jump into kind of some of the news. I'm just going to stop my dog from chewing on the Lego box. So there's been a lot of rumors this week of a bit of an odd week. The news cycle has been a little bit different. Obviously, there's something going on that we're not going to talk about, but it's kind of dominated the news. So there's not really been a huge amount of stuff out this week. I don't know what, but nevertheless,
nothing important.
Nothing important. From there, looks like Loki is going to be getting a second season because, according to Production Weekly, it's currently scheduled to go into production in early 2022. Obviously, right now they are filming, I believe, down in Atlanta, and getting that one done. They started filming back earlier this year, but obviously everything got shut down, and so everything got put on hold. So the show's probably delayed a little bit, but they're already talking about the second season, which I think is good because that's obviously showing a lot of excitement in this series.
I think that Disney and Marvel have both realized that it is these really big shows that drive Disney Plus, and with the current state of things, they want anything and everything they can to keep Disney Plus at the top of the headlines and people talking about the series. And honestly, Loki was already one of the most popular characters in the Marvel Universe. So I'd have to assume that expectations are pretty high for this, even if this version of Loki isn't necessarily the one that people got attached to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the important thing to note as well. Is that I think we're thinking it's going to be Loki that we've kind of, over the last few years, have kind of grown. Of course, he's going back to the original Avengers 4, where he was in... Oh, hold on a second.
I can hear that.
Yes.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
It's the doorstop, you see. She's decided that that's what she wants to play with.
Oh, those are... Animals love playing with those suckers. Anyway, Loki, as Roger was saying there, and is now distracted by the pup. Yes. And I'm now distracted by the pup because the pup's on camera.
Yes.
Loki, of course, as we all know, was in Endgame, and he got plucked from time, or he plucked himself from time, really, during the Captain America versus Captain America fight set during the first Avengers movie. And so all that character development that happened after the first Avengers movie, most notably Thor Ragnarok, no longer counts.
No, and I think that's the key thing, really, is I don't think we're really aware of how that's going to work out. I mean, there's lots of reports of what stories they're going to do and about time travel and older versions and alternative versions of him, which could be placed. We really don't know very much at all about this Loki series yet. I know there's just the Time Police or something like that are going to be involved in it.
Yeah, we'll see how they go with it. I'm mostly hoping that we get some Kid Loki, which was a great storyline from, I guess it'd probably be around about 7 or 8 years ago now, written by Kieran Gillen, which is an absolutely fantastic story arc. Even if you don't like Loki, Journey into Mystery starring Kid Loki is one of the best things that Marvel's put out in the last decade. And I'm hoping that they will at least reference that a little bit, if not in season 1, then in season 2.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm just looking for something different. That's the kind of key thing. And kind of because he's always kind of been that sidekick and always been that thing of Thor, and it's just nice to sort of see him moving into doing something different. But yeah, that's pretty good from the Loki point of view. Also from the Star Wars point of view, it looks like we've already known for a while that season 3 of The Mandalorian has been underway. Jon Favreau's been on social media saying he was doing it all during the lockdown, and we knew it was coming. Apparently, according to Deadline, production is set to begin either next week or in the next few weeks. However, there's also a possibility that they might actually be starting work on a new Boba Fett series, which is a spin-off from The Mandalorian. And then I'll just leave that thing up. And then from there, it's not only going to be maybe a spin-off, but then The Mandalorian will start filming in the spring after they finish filming this one. Obviously, at the minute, it's all rumors. Nothing has been officially announced. Hopefully, we get that clarification of what's going on during the Investors Day event next week, because I think that will be, or not next week, sorry, next month, because I think that's when they're going to start announcing lots of this stuff. They kind of go, look what's coming in, 2021 and maybe 2022, to kind of give us all something to look forward to. But it's always nice to see more of the Star Wars stuff.
Yep, and I take this the same as I do all the rumors. I can hope for it, and I look forward to them officially announcing it. But until it is officially announced, I don't accept that it is a thing that is going to happen. Sometimes that ends up being the case. Obi-Wan, obviously, even up to like a couple days before they announced that, I was like, it's still a rumor. I'm not going to believe it until they say it. But that's also a bit of like, I guess in this case, like disconfirmation bias. But we've talked about all sorts of rumored series over the years, and I can't even name what they are anymore because they were rumored for like a week and then disappeared.
Well, I think the trouble is, especially with Star Wars and probably with Marvel as well, is pretty much every single character in the universe at some point has had a rumor about this getting its own Disney Plus series.
Right. In fact, Boba Fett's already had a rumor. I think that was that's a rumor going back several years. Although this is not a continuation of that. This is a different rumor.
Well, I think the thing is with Boba Fett is originally it was going to be a solo Star Wars story movie based on him, and obviously that all got canned after Solo, and now they're obviously putting everything on Disney Plus. So it's kind of been floating around for a while. I mean, it's kind of looking like there maybe wasn't a huge amount of things happening between the Return of the Jedi and the Mandalorian, because it doesn't look like. I mean, he's looked a little bit battered, but he was missing for a while, for a few years at least. So it depends where they want to go with it. I'm happy with it. I love Boba Fett because in reality, I like him, but he's done nothing in terms of the movies. He didn't really do a huge amount. Obviously, we saw him as a kid in Attack of the Clones and also the follow-up, Revenge of the Sith. Though in the comic, I think it was in the Star Wars Rebels, they kind of expanded on him a little bit, teaming up with some of the bounty hunters. I remember him.
That was in Clone Wars, actually. Not that there's too much of a difference between Clone Wars and Rebels, but yeah, they had him learning under Cad Bane and becoming the bounty hunter that he would eventually have become. And I still would love to get the Clone Wars episodes that they storyboarded out of him and Cad Bane having their falling out in a final duel. But yeah, he hasn't really done much, but he's still an insanely popular character. And I have to admit, I would love to see a series with him, and I would love to see a series with Timothy Olyphant reprising his role from the first episode of season 2 of Here the Mandalorian. Do kind of like a buddy drama with maybe Boba Fett teaching Timothy or the sheriff, the marshal. He was the marshal. Teaching him the ropes and maybe handing off the legacy and making him an official Mandalorian. But yeah, that's all speculation.
Now, it'll be fun to see where they go with that one there. But yeah, it's definitely nice to see them moving on with other stories. We also got a brand new Lego Star Wars holiday special that's going to be coming on, November the 17th, which is Life Day. I still think it's odd that they kind of have kept with that date. I mean, I know it means something to Star Wars, but they're keeping it separate. It's going to be about an hour long. What did you think of that trailer?
Actually, I enjoyed the trailer quite a bit. The only part that kind of wiggled a little bit was the voice for Kylo Ren. It sounded a little bit weird. But other than that, the jokes were funny. It looks like it's going to be a very fun romp through the history of Star Wars. And it's really what you would want from a Lego Star Wars movie.
Well, that's it. I think, again, coming in as someone who likes the Lego Star Wars video games, I kind of know what I'm getting. So therefore, that's always a good thing. But as far as, I mean, it looked fun, lots of humor. It's going to be something I'm going to watch. I think kids are going to love it. I'm loving how they incorporated the Mandalorian and incorporated Baby Yoda, and you even got the scene with the two hands together, young and old. They're having a bit of fun with it, and I think that's what Lego does so well. They just have fun with everything, and that's kind of the good thing about the Lego Star Wars holiday special. And it's kind of one of the things. If it's not, if you don't like that kind of humor, then it's not for you. But it's just nice to see them do something. I think it'll be a lot funnier and a lot better than maybe the Freemaker Adventures, which kind of was a little bit more serious than this.
Yeah, it had funny moments in it, like the entire episode with them trying to fix up that starfighter from Phantom Menace, the Naboo starfighter, and then it just explodes at the end of the episode, which admittedly was pretty funny. But it was more serious than most of the Legos, and apparently it's canon. Which is really weird to me because there's some seriously overpowered stuff going on in that show. But apparently it's canon.
They've got a battle droid called Roger. I mean, what an original name.
I mean, Roger, yeah. I don't know why you would.
I don't know why I would have picked up on that.
Yeah. But honestly, Freemaker Saga aside, it is still entertaining. But if you want an idea of what's going to be coming up in the holiday special, check out some of the other. They range in length. Some of them are only like 15 minutes long. Some are 30. They don't really get much longer than 30, but some of them are multiple episodes. Still, if you haven't tried them, they are actually really fun.
So let's move on now to the top movies that have been announced by Variety. Now, this is the video on demand, so it doesn't include things that have been released at the cinema. Not that there's been a huge amount. But number one was Hamilton. So that's the Disney Plus one, closely followed by Borat 2. So we're interested to see how that moves up. But this is kind of interesting to see that Hamilton is number one. There are a number of other Disney Plus movies on the list. Number 5 was Phileas and Ferb, the movie Candidates Against the Universe, which I thought was really interesting to see that so high up, because I hadn't really. It's that kind of thing. Sometimes it's hard to know how much things are popular, but seeing that in the top 5, I thought that was fantastic. I thought, for an animated movie from Disney to be in the top 5 like that, and maybe like a Disney Channel show, I thought that was really good to see that one in there.
Yeah, that is a bit of a surprise, but it's also, validating to say that, Phineas and Ferb is still pulling in audiences several years after they produced anything other than this movie. I know there've been some one-offs and such, but it's been off the air for a while now, and apparently people still want more. I don't blame them having, I'm most of the way through season 1 of that, and I can understand the love for it.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, I hadn't really seen the season, but it's nice to see that one in there. Some of the other Disney Plus movies. In at number 6, just below that, was Mulan. Now, I thought was even more interesting because obviously that was a paid, you had to buy that one. So that was, that's up there already. That already means that it's a much bigger in terms of numbers than any other of the Disney Plus movies. Mulan did pull in some money and it's number 6. The people go, oh, well, it's like, I'm there going, well, number 6 and it's paid. And I think that sounds really, really good. And I thought that's definitely a good thing moving forward.
And it's not just that it's paid. It's actually, even before you add in subscription costs, it's more expensive than almost any of the other digital movies that were released this year. I think Trolls came in at $20 for you to rent it. And the other ones that you paid for were normally in the $20 range, whereas this one was more.
Also, Mulan is coming to Blu-ray and like 4K this week. I'm coming, and it will be arriving on Disney Plus on December the 4th. So haven't got too much longer to wait for that one there. So that was a bit of an odd one because I don't know if it can necessarily get a boost from.
So I had a question. This occurred to me. This list, does it include stuff that had a theatrical run, no matter how short it was? Something like,
I think it's literally just. I think it was literally just because digital on demand.
I would have been very curious to see how Onward and, to a lesser extent, Frozen 2 would have stacked up to these. Frozen 2 obviously, had a full release. It was all before this happened, so not a fair comparison. But Onward only had a week or two before everything really came crashing down and didn't have a chance to show whatever its box office would have been.
No, it was definitely strange with that one there. Moving on from there for some of the other ones, Black is King was at number 14, which was interesting to see. A lot of people were interested in that one. Artemis Fowl was at number 18.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That has no right to be in the top 20.
Well, it was okay.
No, it did not.
Fine.
Even as if you give it the benefit of being acceptable, which is what we said about it, it had no right to be in the top 20.
2020. It's 2020. That's all we need to say. Then we have 23. We have Stargirl.
Speaking of ones that don't deserve to be in the top.
Well, that I was really just like really that one. It was literally a place above Greyhound, the movie which I even turned off. That was how boring I found that movie.
That was the Tom Hanks one, right?
Yeah,
on Apple TV. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when we got a new TV, I actually had Apple TV Plus as an app. So that was like, oh, we'll try it out because we had a subscription. You have a subscription most of the time. Then we had the one and only Ivan at number 27.
That should have been higher, I think.
Yeah,
I would definitely put it above Stargirl. Definitely.
And then Clouds at 28.
That should have been higher too.
Yeah, I mean, Hulu got a few things as well. Palm Springs was at number 26, and also Bad Hair was at number 17. I think the trouble is this year is but I think the thing is with these movies as a whole is 2020. We lost the blockbusters, didn't we? We've lost. We haven't really had a major, huge movie since like March. I mean, obviously we had Tenet, but that's it. There's just been very, very little since then, and I think that is ultimately the problem with 2020. It's like those movies under any normal circumstances, those movies wouldn't. The bottom ones probably wouldn't. It's a real shame about the one and only Ivan, because that was a cinema release that was supposed to be hitting cinemas, and they pushed it over, and it still didn't pull in. I mean, obviously sometimes social media interest and things like Black is King and so pushes it up. But I would have thought the one and only Ivan, it was noticeable that Timmy Ferrier wasn't on the list, which I think that was about them and the Disney Nature ones. They didn't make it. But Timmy Ferrier was the only movie that didn't make the list.
Interesting. I will say, though, that especially for the one and only Ivan, and to a lesser extent, Timmy Ferrier, they really didn't put much media out for them. They dropped some trailers, but I remember in the weeks leading up to the one and only Ivan, we're sitting there going like, I still don't know what this movie's about. We don't have a poster. The trailer only dropped a little bit before it actually came out. They really did not put any backing behind it.
Yeah, it was kind of. I think it was one of those movies, wasn't it, where they knew that it was eventually going to. They didn't know where it was going to go, and therefore. This whole thing really of what they were doing with where it was going to go and what it was going to do definitely makes a little bit more sense, because they weren't promoting it, they weren't pushing it, because I don't think they knew where it was going to go to the last second.
Yeah, well, obviously they wanted to do a theatrical release. It was, I'm sure, a week or two in advance. Longer than that. We knew it was coming to Disney Plus, but they have been trying to hold on to these bigger movies as long as they can before they finally have to go. We have to get something back from it. That's what happened to Mulan. Ivan, it still could potentially happen with some of the big name titles that are coming up. It's happening to Soul. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Soul's moved to obviously Disney Plus for Christmas Day, but Free Guy and Death on the Nile have already been slid off the list. I read that last night. We had an article up today, but yeah, those have gone off. They're no longer coming out this year. Essentially because the problem isn't any better now than it was months ago. And I'm really starting to look at. I just don't think we're going to get anything. I mean, I know here in Europe and over here in the UK, all of the procedures that they've put in place, they're all in place till like March, April. This is all the rules they brought in. They've all been sort of positioned for that. So I can't see much changing over here, for example. And it's probably in the rest of Europe. And this is what the problem is for like Disney and all the other companies, is they are dealing with not just the US, they've got to deal with, Canada, China, Europe, all the rest of it. And that's the thing you've got to remember. It's not just about your local theater. When they go, they can release it in a drive-through. It's like, well, that's not suitable for the rest of the world and ultimately that is the issue. And also people just not been going back. I mean, Tenet and New Mutants kind of showed that, here's some movies. And I mean, if you look at what the box office is for each movie, nothing is getting like more than like 2-3 million.
I wouldn't necessarily use New Mutants as an example for that. We all knew that wasn't going to do particularly well. It might have done
it would have done better had it not been in a pandemic.
Well,
I mean,
absolutely, absolutely. But I think we were also kind of resigned to the idea, even in a normal circumstance, New Mutants was kind of on the edge of like, are they even going to make their money back on this? They probably would have had a good first weekend and then dropped off. But Tenet was a huge release. An absolutely massive release that under normal circumstances would have shown up with Disney numbers, Mulan, Marvel movies, so on. And it got destroyed at the box office. No fault of its own, obviously, but I would definitely use Tenet as the, barometer for the state of people going to see movies, because there was nobody going to see that.
Well, I think the trouble as well with like Tenet is, I mean, it's pulled in something like 300 odd million at the box. So it's done reasonably. It did better than maybe Mulan did, but the problem is ultimately is the people weren't there. I mean, there was a lot of other issues with Tenet. Apparently, I mean, I'll be honest, the movie didn't appeal to me. The Christopher Nolan stuff. If you take away the Batman movies, like I think it was Inception. I had no clue what was going on in that movie, and it seems like Tenet kind of had that other issue as well. So yeah, I think as a whole, that's where this kind of whole thing has come into. Of nobody, it's just all over the place, and I think we're going to continue to see this. And I think that's why Disney are pushing ahead so much on this Disney Plus stuff, and hopefully we'll find out more, because they're going to have to start pulling on some of the 2021 dates soon, because it's a packed year. It's absolutely packed.
Well, it is. If the circumstances were normal, if the virus went away at the beginning of the year and we were able to have 2021 as a normal year, we would have practically a blockbuster, if not every week, at least every other week for the entire year. It'd be great. I'm obviously not just Disney. We're adding other studios into that mix at that point. But yeah, 2021 under normal circumstances would be absolutely nuts in terms of movies.
But the trouble is, it's like for that point of view, nobody's going to go every week.
No,
nobody, and that's even if numbers return. People aren't going to be able to afford to go week after week after week. So I think there is going to be some shuffling, because I think Wonder Woman was pushed back to June. I don't know if that's happened yet. But
soon, if it hasn't been official. But yeah. I actually probably would be the exception to that. I probably would be in the movie theater like every single week under normal circumstances. But I don't have to take care of a family. I don't have to schedule around other people. I can just go whenever the heck I want. Most people can't do that. And you'd still have to pick and choose.
Yeah, I mean, there's that kind of thing as well of, for me, it's fine. But I have friends and relatives and stuff, they're lucky if they go once a decade kind of thing. So they're not the target audience. Moving on from there, let's now talk about, we'll start off with the right stuff. We'll do the Mandalorian last because we'll do a bit more spoilers on that. So the right stuff. What did you think of this week's episode?
Not one of the better episodes, to be honest. Part of that, I will admit up front, is I see them skewing the timeline here. So there are things popping up in this episode which honestly wouldn't even be happening in this series at all, since a lot of it would be happening after the first launch. Let's come back to that, though. I don't know. It just feels like they're artificially adding drama at this point when there's already plenty of real life drama building it. Like the conflict between Shepard and Glenn going over everybody's head and sending out all these letters. There's a ton of drama in that. You can build an entire episode around that. But then they're going in and adding other stuff to it too, which they didn't necessarily need to do.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, he went down on that level, didn't he? He went from like, oh, you're getting a bit nasty now. Now you didn't get your pick, so now I'm going to write a letter. I'm that angry. I'm going to write a letter.
Well, not just a letter. He wrote like 50 of them.
Yeah.
And remember, this is before computers. He typed out every single one of them.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, really, of just kind of moving on. Of he's it's such a thing, and like the way Shepard was as well with it was a bit like he obviously instantly knew that something was going on with his. He's chewing my chair. And I think that whole thing of him like storming in, you get these shots storming down there, and then he suddenly sees, oh, it's not me, it's you. And the guy sat there, and he's supposed to, and I know this thing of like, I was supposed to feel sorry for him. But it's like, this guy's had like 10 seconds of screen time. I don't care. As ultimately, I don't know who this guy is. It's like, who is he? Sorry, I don't even remember who he was.
And this is the complaint I've had since episode 1 is we've got 7 astronauts, now 6, and you're focusing on 3 of them when you really all 7 of them have amazing stories. And when you actually bring in an impactful story like Deke Slayton, it's like, who is this guy? Why do I care? He's got some issue, and now, okay, he's not part of the story, so I don't actually care that he's not flying.
Well, that was the problem. Is he just didn't. He did. I don't know who he is. I've got no idea who he is. He hasn't been really. I mean, if it was, like Gordon or even the other guy, you'd probably. But there's 3 of those astronauts that have had so little time, other than just being, that every now and again they would glance at them, and that's all they would ever do.
They appeared at the bar at the beginning when they were doing that whole glass thing, which was frankly ridiculous, and not in like ridiculous. They're being ridiculous. The show is being ridiculous at that point. But that's Wally Schirra, Scott Carpenter, and Deke Slayton are those 3, plus Gordon Cooper was with them. The person in this case is Deke Slayton, and this is one of the issues that I was talking about where they're adjusting the timeline. The whole thing that they're talking about here didn't happen until late 62, and up until that point, they thought he was going into space. So, but they moved it all forward, and I understand because, if they're ending after the first flight, then you would never have this bit of drama. Yeah. And it is actually important to stories, especially if they get to do a second season. But at the same time, it's like, you're bringing it up out of nowhere. It didn't actually happen this way. It didn't happen at this time. What are you doing here? You need to properly set this up. Right.
I think the thing is, the whole point of it was to set Shepard up. That was the whole thing.
So
it was more of a thing of getting him off the handle and showing him, ready to storm in and all the rest of it, and just how much it means to them all and all the rest. It was, that's this whole thing of him like collapsing in the shower. I thought that was very well done. The whole thing of them messing about in the pool was a bit like, really, what the hell are they doing this for?
Yeah, there was that too. That actually did happen though. That whole thing was legitimate. I don't think it happened in the hotel pool. I think it happened in an actual NASA pool. But in any event, that was a thing. And what's interesting is that sequence with him having to get out of the capsule because it's sinking would actually have been a relevant plot point if we saw more than the first launch. Which is disappointing because it's actually a really interesting story that happens out of that. Not for Shepard, it's for one of the other pilots, but still.
I also like how they brought in the chimpanzee, but they kind of fluffed over that real quick. That was just like.
And this is the continuing theme of this episode is here's a plot point. We didn't set it up at all, but it's very, very important. So the chimpanzee, his name was Ham. He went into, he didn't even really make it into space. He got into low Earth orbit suborbital flight and then came back down. And then his story is done and everyone's just mad because a chimpanzee went instead of a human. And then also at the end of the episode, it's like, oh yeah, the Russians got into space. And you're like, what? Hold on. Where'd this come from?
Well, the thing is, I always find that thing the difference between like the race of space between obviously the US and it's hard for us to imagine of like what that's like right now. But it was essentially, America being a bit cautious with sending the chimp up. Had they sent up one of the astronauts, they would have been first. And I think that was how I read it. It was like they were a little bit too, because of the interference from outside was why the chimpanzee went up.
That is correct. Although it is good that the chimpanzee went up first because as they showed in the episode, there were problems. Now it would have been survivable, but Shepard would not have had a very pleasant trip on that one at all. And they skipped over some things in that actually. The capsule that the chimp was in, because the separation happened too early, it developed holes in the bottom of the spaceship and water started to come in and it started to flood. And they got him out as that's accurate. They got him out in time. And they also don't talk about the fact that, they mentioned the switches that the chimp has to flip. It didn't work at all, and he was getting shocked because he was doing the switches wrong, even though he was doing them right. They kind of just skipped that part of. Maybe that was the second chimp. Either way, they kind of skip over all of that, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, Yuri Gagarin's in orbit. I'm like, oh, well, okay then.
Yeah, I suppose it's that thing. They've got to pick the stories to tell. They can't go into too much detail, but they do also have that added benefit of time. They have got longer to stretch us all out because obviously comparing it to the movie, I haven't seen the movie. It's much slower pace.
Almost none of this happens in the movie. This is all completely glossed over in the movie, with the exception of them mentioning Ham going into space, and they set it up better in the movie where earlier in the movie they're like, who's going first, chimp or man, and there's a whole plot line with it. But it's like you're saying, they've got more room, they've got more time to tell these stories, which is why I'm some kind of annoyed with them just dropping stuff on you. Oh yeah, Deke Slayton's got a heart arrhythmia, he's not flying anymore. Oh yeah, we're sending a chimpanzee up. Sorry we didn't tell you about that, but we're sending a chimp up. Oh yeah, Yuri Gagarin's in orbit. They have the room to set these stories up, and they're not doing it.
No, I think that's ultimately for me, I'm really enjoying the series. It's it's like literally it's like Friday night viewing. That's what we watch. After the news, it's like, right, okay, time for the right stuff because we're watching it together. And I'm just really enjoying it. It's again, I'm not too familiar with the story, and it's just nice having something complete. I would say at the minute, just nice having a drama series that's not a murder mystery. Because
not yet. No. Well, I'm joking. It's not.
No, but it's. I think as well, especially over here, like, so many of the shows are just all ever it is murder mysteries. So it's just nice having something a bit different. Speaking of different, The Mandalorian, episode 2.
Mandalorian. Definitely different.
What do you think of that episode?
Definitely different. No, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Same complaint as last week, which is I would like them to, start advancing the plot a little bit. But having said that, that whole chase sequence on the ice planet was great with the X-Wings, and I really enjoyed just the action of it, even if the whole like you can't use hyperspace and you can't talk to this person was a little bit what's the word I'm looking for, I can't think of the word, but forced, little artificial is. I kind of made sense. It kind of helped, because there was always that thing I always think with Star Wars of like, they have all these different languages and everyone can just speak everything. Oh, I had no problem with that. I thought that was hilarious, actually.
I just like the fact of like they didn't speak, and then they ended up using the droid and stuff, which I think was needed. I think they needed to do that, put over the importance, because at the minute we didn't really know quite what it was. For me, no, because this was actually directed by Peyton Reed, who did the Ant-Man movies, and it was one of those episodes where I think I laughed more in this episode than in most of the Mandalorian episodes. There were so many bits where I just thought I did laugh out loud. I mean, the whole thing with the rocket going up with him on there, every time Baby Yoda like popped an egg. I just thought that really helped with this episode.
I have to agree with that, especially the rocket pack at the beginning, and just no dialogue, just the dude walking away with the rocket pack and just whoosh. I thought it was.
It was like he was running away. I'm going, he's so going to shoot him. He's going to do something. Because, but then I was like, oh, it'd be cool if he. And he did. And I mean, you could see it coming a mile away. But I did like that, and also it helped set up the idea that Baby Yoda's still being chased. They're still looking for him. That whole storyline is, because it kind of got forgotten in that first episode. So I like that. And I mean the special effects of that they were using, and it feels like we've definitely gone into movie territory, because I mean those spider scenes and the X-Wings and all that, it's like we're watching a movie right now.
Yeah, there was that worry last week that they had basically spent the entire budget on the Krayt Dragon fight, and I was a little bit worried about that. And then we get into this episode, and they've got the X-Wing chase sequence. We've got the frost spiders, or whatever we want to call those things, and got the eggs and Baby Yoda. And yeah, the game has been stepped up. You can definitely tell that Mandalorian season 1, while they had faith in it, didn't have as much room to play with that kind of special effects stuff. And they saw the success and were like, all right, let's have some real fun. Let's get some Krayt Dragons. Let's get some frost spiders. let's have some X-Wings, do whatever.
And I'm also hoping that we actually have episodes where every episode has the budget and they don't have to do that. Oh, we have to do a skimpy episode because we spent too much on the previous couple. But I was like, okay, this is, we got these massive monsters in there. And I'm like, okay. I mean, it's kind of the monster of the week. And it's like,
definitely monster of the week.
I'm a bit like, I like kind of those shows. It's like, that's not a bad thing. It's like, I mean, you can't just keep pushing forward this big. And I think that's the trouble sometimes. I think everyone wants this overarching story and everything to mean something to something else. And side quests, we're on side quests. We're just off doing separate things. We're all living our life, and he goes off and he's dealing with this. I mean, we don't yet know where the planet that he's going to, how that's going to be important. I mean, it was a bit like with the whole thing of, okay, we're leaving Tatooine. We're all there. We go with the Boba Fett storyline for a while. We're not going to be there. And I'm like, okay. And then there's also that other thing of, straight away up comes a picture at the end of, you've got Cara Dune and stuff there, and they're all there. I'm thinking, well, they're nowhere near this at the minute. We've done a quarter of the series, and we've not even seen them.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, because they stayed behind at the end of episode 8 from last season. We haven't seen them. We know they're coming. We've got suspicions of who some of the other characters are, but we haven't seen any of them yet. And yeah, so obviously I mentioned this at the beginning. I do want them to advance the story a little bit. It doesn't have to be an entire episode of it, but just kind of a little bit of forward movement. What's happening with the Moff? Something like that. What's going on anywhere? What about these other Mandalorians are we going to see? And I realize it's all from the Mandalorian's perspective. That was true in season 1. That's true in this season as well. We never see anything that the Mandalorian doesn't see.
Yeah.
But I would like some sort of indication that we're moving towards finding out some of those secrets that were left at the end of season 1. Having said that, Monster of the Week, I am totally fine with as long as the quality stays high. I said that back at the beginning of season 1, and I am perfectly fine with them continuing to do that through season 2. Both of these episodes have been just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I kind of watched it in the more. It's like, sit down there, laughing, enjoying it, watching it all. Got to the end of it and going, that was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Had a great show. And it's that kind of thing as well. Sometimes you don't want everything kind of all meaningless and all. It's like, because I think the show would probably get a little bit like boring that way as well. Of like, how can they keep stretching this out? It's like the idea of you hint at something and then you let the anticipation build for that, rather than just go straight into episode 2, straight into Boba Fett. It's right. Like, no, let it stew, let it do, and it means more when it happens. Hopefully in the next episode we go back to something really about Baby Yoda.
Yes. Going back to that original point there, I am 100% fine with them dropping hints about small things that will eventually become something. Let them percolate, let them grow, let them kind of tease out a little bit, so long as we have the impression that they do actually know where it's going. Because we had that problem with the sequel movies where you get to the end of Force Awakens, you're like, okay, we got a whole bunch of things we need to learn. They left a whole bunch of stuff for us to find out, and you get to The Last Jedi, and it's like, we're not actually interested in any of that stuff. We're going to go do something else. And then you get to, what the heck was the last movie called?
Rise of Skywalker.
That's it, Rise of Skywalker. This is how, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and I can't remember the name of the 9th movie. But you get to Rise of Skywalker, and it's like, oh yeah, all the stuff that happened in Last Jedi, that's not important either. It's one of those shows, or one of those things where you have a movie like a show like Lost, where for the first couple episodes, they're like, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this? And then you get to, season 2 or something, like, you don't know where you're going with this, do you?
No.
And as long as The Mandalorian doesn't fall into that, as long as we always have that feeling that they know where they want to get to and they know how to get there, I'm perfectly fine with them letting stuff simmer for a while.
I do think as well of, the whole like adventure a week kind of thing, that can help. They can essentially have a 3 or 4 episode arc of the story, and then you just chuck in these things in between, and it can fluff out. And I think that's the beauty of the episode run, is they can do that much easier. Whereas You know, if it was 12 or 20 through 2 episodes, that's when you really get. It's like Monsters of the Week. Like people are going, oh, it's because I think people are like are complaining about it. Like, well, yeah, it's because you want the story to evolve because you've set your expectations. You know, it's like, you know, this is a perfectly fun episode, but it's not what you want the story to evolve a bit more than it actually is.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that mindset too. Especially nowadays, we're very much used to shows that where every episode builds on the previous episode, builds on the previous episode, and until you get to the big finale. But in this case, I'm perfectly fine letting them kind of get there on their own, so long as we get to a satisfying conclusion at the end of season 2, and then on into season 3.
It was also nice seeing like the X-wings. I thought that was great. You know, we had a full-blown space flight. You know, them battling it out. Kind of nice to see Filoni have a little bit of a cameo in that one, but also just the whole idea of, you know, he's not really liked by the New Republic either. You know, that's the kind of, you know,
well,
yeah.
This is where the continuity comes into play too, because the reason the New Republic doesn't like him was because of something that happened in season 1.
Yeah.
You know, that whole jailbreak episode, which admittedly was not one of the better episodes, but you can see the consequences from it.
Yeah. No, I thought that was good, and it just as a whole. But for me, the big thing really was just I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot more CGI of Baby Yoda.
He was very mobile.
Yeah, and like when he sat there, he's like going, that doesn't look like the puppet because he's moving a lot more than normal. But just him there with the eggs.
The eggs were great.
That was, and then even just at the end, he just sat there on the lap, and then suddenly,
yeah, like he had one tucked away. The other thing we've noticed about Baby Yoda is he's getting a bit more vocal too. Like he's making noise. He's making more noises now. Now he's not speaking basic, which is what they call English in Star Wars, but he's making noises and he's kind of communicating a bit. And you also get the impression that he understands what everyone is telling him, even if he's not listening. No, don't eat the egg.
Look, I mean, even my dog knows, it gives me the eyes like that. I know what's going on there, but I think I do like that whole aspect of what they're doing, and also the thing as well of like him curling up to Mando. You know, obviously the fact that they sleep in the same quarters together. You know, that kind of thing of because they obviously showed the lizard woman with her eggs cuddling up, and then he did the same then to Mando. And, you know, there are things like that. I'd like little just moving that along, you know, the fact of, you know, essentially, I think these two are going to be together for a while. I can't see them. It's like this whole thing of he's just going to pass them over at the end of the season. Well, that's going to be carrying on for a while.
No.
They're a combo act now.
And honestly, Baby Yoda is very much one of the big draws of the series. I think if you got rid of Baby Yoda, either you drop him off with like the Jedi Conclave or, I don't know, the Mandos takeover or something like that. I think a lot of people would be like, well,
yeah,
it's still entertaining, but I don't really have a reason to look forward to it every week if there's no Baby Yoda sitting there eating eggs.
And I mean, he wasn't so much in the first episode, so it was nice to see him a bit more in this, but also there was just so many moments with it that I really enjoyed with it. And
I also appreciated that, you know, a lot in season 1, he was kind of a Deus Ex Machina character, you know, that fight with the giant rhino horn thing where he saved the day and, you know, he heals the bounty hunter contract guy, heals him in that one from I can't remember the character name. He heals him from the poison, things like that. So he was like the Deus Ex Machina, but this episode was him going, nope, you caused the problem. Well, the last problem, I should say.
Yeah, and it was just that kind of thing of just nice to see it all. And just the fact that he started the whole spider thing by just eating one of them.
I'm glad they don't shy away from it either. They're just like junk, slime everywhere. Oh,
and the other thing that I really liked is when kind of the rocket went up and like Yoda, he just like looked it up and was like, you could sort of, yeah, well,
oh yeah, no. Pedro definitely, or whoever was in the mask, definitely did like a what? What do you expect me to do about it?
So I thought that was good. And as a whole, I just a really fun episode and just really nice just to have these dropping week to week. And this is what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting all year to kind of get some great stuff on Disney Plus, and now we get 2 episodes a week, which is really nice. It's just quite fun just to have two proper series that you can sit and watch. Even if my wife says what I'm the man, she goes, I really don't get why you're watching this rubbish.
But for the
whereas
Mandalorian,
whereas my dad went, because I got him in, logged him into my account just before the lockdown. I said, well, they got the Star Wars and right stuff to watch, so let's log you in. I watch 5 episodes in a day. So he's plowed through. But yeah, it's just fun to kind of have this like big proper Star Wars series on week to week, and I'm loving it.
Yep, absolutely. Can't wait for the next episode, and of course, even when this is done, we've still got WandaVision to look forward to. Hope maybe by the end of the year, maybe at the beginning of next year.
I am expecting, and there's a lot of people kind of like WandaVision in November. So, no, that's what.
It's not in November. No way.
No, it's not coming in November, and it's like going off the source code and stuff like that is like, yeah, it's there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that can be changed just like that. I still think they're gonna. I wouldn't be at all surprised if this was either. Let's have a look. I'm just trying to think of when. I'm just going to have a look at the dates of the calendar, because Mandalorian ends literally the week before Christmas, doesn't it?
Right. And then they've got Soul dropping on Christmas.
I would not be at all surprised. So Christmas Day is actually the last Friday of 2020. So the following week is the 1st of January. It's either going to be the 18th or the 25th. That would be my guess. I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was the 18th, the same day. It wouldn't, like the last day of the Mandalorian, like the kind of a double event, or they could drop it Christmas. But I think the trouble is with like dropping WandaVision on Christmas Day is it's not really maybe necessarily a family thing. I mean, there might be a new episode that day, but I don't know. If they're going to get a hit 2022, there's going to be one of those 2 weeks. I just can't see them dropping it at Thanksgiving. They would have. I mean, we're only 2 weeks away. I mean, I would have imagined they would have been a little bit more vocal about it by now.
They will want to be pushing WandaVision very hard, because they're going to need to make sure that the people who signed up for The Mandalorian are going to want to stick around after The Mandalorian finishes up season 2.
Well, we've got the Investors Day next month. We've also got the quarterly results coming up, I think next week. So yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see something soon. Ultimately as well, they the current situation of what's going on in real life with everything, that does have a play as well of them trying to keep away from everything, because if there's lots of big news going around, it's hard to kind of get through. So they're going to have to. It's been a very quiet week for news, but I still think we might be a week or two away from them kind of re-announcing what's going on with WandaVision. Let Mando have this moment. And just let it keep building, because a lot of people are going to be coming up for their annual subscriptions now. So it wouldn't surprise. I mean, they could easily drop a trailer this week and say it's coming on this date to get people to keep their annual subscriptions.
Yeah, but I think they're still going to hold out just a little bit longer on that one.
I think they're going to have to, even if they gave a date, I think that all they have to do at the minute is say, middle of December, end of December. If they can give the date, just a poster of a date, I think that would help a massive amount with getting people to sign up.
Yeah, that'd be fine. But that would be my expectation. And then a trailer once The Mandalorian starts to kind of taper off a bit.
I think because we've already seen a trailer, it's a little bit like, do they, they might only give another trailer. There might not be a huge amount more. We're getting TV spots and all the rest of it then.
I think we'll have a proper trailer, but it will mostly be the 30-second TV spots, obviously. Look forward to maybe a trailer on Thanksgiving when people will be at home watching whatever with family members. But
is there any football this year?
I believe they're playing right now. Actually, I think there is a season going on right now.
Yeah, Mr. Sport. So I wouldn't know. So I think, and obviously like the Macy's Parade, I think that's like a visit. They're doing it virtually or something this year.
Honestly, I don't have a clue. I Thanksgiving is not my holiday. I don't enjoy Thanksgiving either, even under normal circumstances. Sorry, Mom. It's true. I don't like Thanksgiving.
Well, to be honest, last year we were in Shanghai Disney for Thanksgiving last year, and we actually went into a restaurant and we had mashed potato and turkey and all the rest of it. because they had like a Thanksgiving meal and with like mac and cheese and all the rest of it. So last year at Thanksgiving we were in Shanghai Disney. So yeah, it was, and we've been out there for. I mean, I remember once we were out in America and at Disney World. We didn't. It was the first time we'd been, I think, or the second time. We didn't really know much about what Thanksgiving was, and we went to the Magic Kingdom on Thanksgiving Day, and yeah, we didn't. We quickly got on the monorail and we headed over to Epcot because we're like, it was crazy. You know, they closed the Magic Kingdom because of capacity and, you know, everything being shut, and we're just going, what is this holiday?
Yeah, that was some bad planning on your part. Thanksgiving weekend and I think Christmas weekend are like two of the biggest days of the year at the Magic Kingdom and the periphery parks too. I've definitely heard not Animal Kingdom, MGM. The heck's it called now?
Hollywood Studios.
It's been too long. I'm forgetting all the names. Yeah, Hollywood Studios. It's hit capacity on Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving weekend before as well.
Yeah, no, it's very. The thing is, when we did this was pre-internet days. These are days before the internet, when you didn't know. You know, you had what was, you know, if you didn't know any newspaper, we just didn't know. You know, you saw it. So obviously nowadays you've got your tour plans and you work everything out and you can ask us. These are days where you had a brochure with a picture of your hotel and that was all you had. That's all you went to go off.
For modern reference, I'm pretty sure if you go over Thanksgiving weekend, even if you have the 2 month in advance fast pass because you're at a Disney hotel or whatever, you have to sign up on the hour that they become available. Otherwise, you are getting fast passes for Dumbo and Aladdin, and good luck getting on the Seven Dwarf Mine Train or any of those other huge ones. It's not happening.
Yeah, no. So there we go. That's everything for this week. We'll be back next week with another episode where we're going for all of next week's news and continuing on with discussions about Mando and also the right stuff. We'll also we'll be talking about the new series that drops next week, which is the Inside Pixar show, which is we're going to have 5 episodes. They're each about 10 minutes apiece, and it's all about being inspired. They've basically broken down, by the looks of it, the season into collections, and they're going to be dropping it like that. There was a little bit of information came out last night about each of the episodes, but it's all about inspiration. So we'll be talking about that next week because that'll be the Disney Plus original for next week. But on that note, guys, thank you very much for joining us, and we shall see you guys soon. Later.